Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. And we're taking another look at waves. And thank you to my community for asking that I cover this here again. I have, of course, definitely love to do that. So thank you so much for always recommending I cover unique coins because I have a tendency of kind of focusing on the ones that I like and I appreciate and I invest in, but it's nice to have these other side coins that are still very plentiful and obviously moving contrary to Bitcoin. So I really love those coins. So thanks again to my community. Moving forward, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should always do your own research. And this is just designed to ensure that we understand the technical charts. We don't look at any fundamentals. And if you have insight on the fundamentals, feel free to include that below. But I more so just look at the technical charts and we help educate you on best practice and, of course, try to help you find a good entry point in today's climate. So that being said, let's go ahead and take a look. Oh, one last thing, by the way, I have a signal group releasing very, very soon. Be on the lookout for that. That's available on my premium Patreon account. Link in the description below, as well as $25 in Bitcoin from Voyager if you're interested in utilizing that application moving forward. All right, so let's just go ahead and check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at waves. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, just to get a baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on. And we'll take a look at the one-day chart, 4-hour chart, 15-minute, and kind of work our way down so we can get, kind of a big picture overview before making an investment, right? That's kind of the point. You always want to do your own research, okay? And this is that research that you're going to be doing. So let's take a look here at Bitcoin first. Now, just to preface, this is TradingView application. This is essentially the desktop app. You just tradingview.com. If you'd like to follow along, I have the 200-day moving average. That's this purple line here, and the 50-day moving average, which is the yellowish line there. Now, just to clarify, both lines converged here recently, and we lost support. Essentially, those are both working as resistance levels. And obviously, we saw recently the price just plummet down from 40,000 all the way down to about 33.5. So we've seen this kind of bearish pattern, so to speak. It's kind of that step pattern, whereas short periods consolidation followed by a loss, right? So we keep seeing this kind of over and over and over again. It's unfortunate for those who are long holders, but if you're shorting recently, perhaps those in my signal group, you'll see here that this is essentially a good opportunity, or was. All right, so we'll see where this goes, of course, but at this point, Bitcoin is kind of just right where this is, right where it's at, not neither good nor bad. It's pretty standard Bitcoin stuff. It does this all the time, but you can tell the bears are in control. However, I think that's going to relinquish soon, because if we were to take a look at some smaller charts, let's look at the 1-hour chart. We can see on the Ishimoku cloud that the price is under. So again, the common rule of thumb for Ishimoku is when the price is under, it's a short opportunity. The price is over, it's long. So we're not quite at a point in which we have any good opportunities yet, according to the cloud. So just keep that in mind. All right. So let's look at Ethereum next. Now with Ethereum, this is essentially one of those scenarios where it's almost exactly mirroring Bitcoin, just on a smaller scale, right? In other words, we normally see Ethereum do well, whereas it's not, right? Because when Bitcoin does poorly, Ethereum used to do good. Now I think with all the indecision in the market, people getting concerned that the price will hit 30,000 again for Bitcoin, there's a lot of concern, so nobody's really investing in Ethereum right now. At least, you can tell that there's not a strong ramp up like usual. So that being said, we do have on the moving averages, we are below both the 50 and the 200. So they're both working as resistance levels, as well as the fact that we have a major resistance about 2,900. I fear it'll be a while before we get back there, but we will see. Again, if Bitcoin can come back up to 41, 42,000, test that and stay above, then we were going to be looking at pretty good shape for Ethereum to likely take off and test this level. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Wave's one-day chart. So the one-day chart tells us some good and bad things, I guess you could say, more so in the fact that, it's not oversold or overbought. That's pretty standard for this type of consolidation. And what's nice is that with the recent ramp up, really the RSI hasn't been impacted on the one-day chart. Furthermore, we have the 200-day moving average pretty much working as a support level. So as that continues to rise, so will the price. However, the 50 is essentially above, so this could potentially be hazardous if it continues downward and pushes the price down. We're a ways away from that right now, but that could be a possibility. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we can see that the golden cross occurred here where the 200 came down and the 50 moved up, and the 50 has been working as a support level for the last few days. So this is awesome news in the sense of the fact that Waves is essentially getting pushed up by the 50-day moving average, and that's why we're seeing some recent increase in price action, because when these things happen, it's usually a good sign. And if you've seen in my previous Waves videos, you'll notice that it does kind of move contrary to Bitcoin. So interesting enough, Bitcoin had a major shorting opportunity here, whereas it's a long opportunity for Waves. So I'd almost venture to guess that it's an inverse pair, but it's really not, right? So again, that's just kind of the sentiment there, the way that people are investing in Waves. It is essentially that they're coming over here when Bitcoin does poorly. So it's almost like Waves is the new Ethereum as far as the price action, because this is what Ethereum is supposed to be doing. Ethereum is supposed to have this kind of ramp up when Bitcoin does poorly. We saw it jump from 3,000 to 4,000 recently. Well, I guess that was a month ago. But that was when Bitcoin was doing poorly. It was essentially going sideways and down. So, you'll see that sometimes. So it's nice to be able to identify coins that have that opportunity. So I do feel like we're in pretty good position here with Waves. And I'll explain why too, because look at the 1 hour chart. The Ishimoku cloud is giving us a pretty significant buy signal. Okay, so this tells us that we probably want to consider investing because we're no longer in the cloud, we're above, and we broke above and held for about 2 to 3 hours. Okay, it's a very good sign because if you look back here, notoriously, the Ichimoku cloud, when it breaks above, it stays above for some time. Right, so it's just a good indication of a buy signal. So I would consider this a good opportunity right now to invest in Waves, just based on the simple fact that we're over the cloud, and that does help us with a lot of momentum. It really tells us that we're in good shape on the cloud. So I like that personally, and I think that's a very good sign. So let's take a look at the 15-minute. And what we want to do is just turn on my EMA and VWAP indicator, my notification there. And this is a good one too, because if you're new to the channel, I like confirmation, like good confirmation on the 15-minute chart before taking entry. So I wait for 2 solid green bars in most cases above EMA and VWAP. So to clarify, EMA is this blue line here. That's the correction. The blue line is the VWAP. The VWAP is this blue line. That's the volume weighted average price. So if you take the volume of the last 24 hours and express it as a price, that's essentially where it's going to be. Now you can see this large ramp up here and the peak over 70 on the RSI when we had the standard deviation too high. In other words, anytime you have a deviation of over, say, 10%, in this case it was only 6, it has a tendency of retracing back down. Okay, so just something to note here when you see the RSI peak up over 70 and the VWAP, there's a large variance between the VWAP line and the price action. It's typically going to retrace itself back down, which is what happened here. But what you see here, of course, and these are the signals that I have, and I'll share this with my premium Patreon account as well. If you look at this, these 2 lines here, there's that yellow line signals that there's 2 lines above EMA and VWAP. Okay, so that's what my indicator or my notification does here for me, is it tells me when I have the confirmation that I'm usually looking for. So this is the confirmation that I look for, right? 2 green bars above EMA and VWAP. And as you can see, the price inevitably continued upwards. Now again, it doesn't always happen that way, but in a bullish trend, which we're seeing right here, it does, okay? So it's important to identify a bullish trend. And how to do that is with the EMA line. And that's this red line here. So the red line is essentially an exponential moving average. So it's exponential in the sense that instead of just taking a 50-day average of the price, it has a special formula that essentially reacts quickly to the price. It's kind of an average essentially. So for lack of better terms, I use the EMA 15, and that 15 is a better version for me. So instead of using a 9 and a 20, which is kind of the standard default, I kind of split the difference and just use 1 instead of 2. I believe in having a lot less noise on your charts. So if you just kind of identify, you have 2 or 3 indicators on one specific time frame, that's the important thing to do. And in this case here, that's kind of what I would normally have done. So what we want to do is we want to identify a bullish trend, right? So in other words, this is telling us that we're starting a bullish trend, right? Same thing happens back here, but you never want to take entry under the EMA or the VWAP lines. So this is essentially a no buy zone, right? This right here, when the price bumps up over EMA and VWAP, is a case in point where we want to pay attention and take a look. Okay, we got confirmation here because we had a second green bar closing above the EMA and VWAP line. That's usually good confirmation. And what's further confirmation is when the price comes up and it comes down and bounces off the EMA line. That tells us the bulls are in control, right? And you can see how it does this a few times. Try to test the EMA line multiple times as it comes up, and then continues upwards. Okay. Now, furthermore, you see these little purple lines here, these purple arrows, that signifies that the RSI is over 70. Okay, so basically just tell you want to pay attention to wait for the RSI to probably come back down under 70. In other words, had you taken entry here, you would have continued to watch the EMA lines bounce, and then of course when the RSI alerts you here with this purple indicator, it tells you that the RSI is essentially over 70. So what you do is you wait for the RSI to come back down under 70, which is roughly right around here. So had you taken that entry and held, you would have got a 6.5% increase, and that was roughly about a 6-hour hold. Now, it could be difficult to be patient that long, right? That's why I have a signal group that I'm going to be working with moving forward through my premium Patreon account that helps you identify these entry points, right? I'll have 3 to 5 signals a week to try to keep it simple, keep it basic and easy for you. But generally speaking, these are the rules that I typically apply in most of my entries. I try to take entry when there's confirmation, and then I try to exit when the RSI is over 70, it's a bit oversold, and I wait for the RSI to come back down instead of getting out on the first signal, right? Because you never want to exit your position as soon as the RSI peaks over 70 for the first time, because you can lose out on all the rest of the momentum, which is exactly why I wait for the RSI to come back down under 70 and then take my exit. You typically get a little bit out of it, a little bit more out of it, right? May not be a large difference, but it's somewhere in the range of usually 1 to 5% extra, and that is huge in today's market, right? Because we got to take all the best opportunities as possible, because if you're not the kind of person who like to short a currency, then this is the way you want to kind of approach it, right? You never buy the dip, you wait for the dip to essentially be tested. And in this case here, if you see, this was buying, if you were to buy the dip here, sure you would have got lucky, but had it come back down, you would have got stopped out. However, if you come up here and you wait for the price to bounce off EMA and VWAP, and you wait for your confirmation, you'll be in much better shape. All right, so these are just little things that I like to help educate on, and these are things that are helpful to understand the big picture. They keep me successful, and that it works well for me. Develop your own trading style. Take some of these ideas here and apply it to yourself, but also learn as much as you can from other people as well. Like I literally figure this out over the course of 10 plus years of trading, and I can tell you that it wasn't just one person that I learned from, right? A lot of it was trial and error. A lot of it was educating myself with other YouTube videos and other friends, coworkers. I worked in the industry as well for a while, so it's just a culmination of a lot of things. Okay, you can only get to this point by practicing and trying hard. And in that case, by the way, make sure you click on trading panel down below if you're using TradingView, and enable paper trading, because it really helps you kind of utilize these skills that you're learning without jeopardizing losing your money, right? So just throw some paper currency out there, practice good risk tolerance and risk management, and you'll be off to the races. All right, so that's essentially all I have for you here today. So thank you again for watching. If you're new to the channel, I really appreciate you watching this far. Feel free to consider subscribing and liking, of course. I really do benefit from that. But furthermore, feel free to reference my Patreon account. I will have a premium Patreon account moving forward very, very soon. I'm considering rolling it out today, but I got to iron out just a couple more things here first. But that is essentially an option through my premium Patreon account. Link in the description below. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take good care of yourself. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you.